Now from Sports on 6, the 402 Tip-Off.
Welcome into 402 Tip-Off. Clayton Collier, Mason Kern here with you. Mason, we got a lot of great basketball to talk about, but I think we're going to start, of course, with the ranked men's basketball team in the area. That is Nebraska men's basketball, up to 15th now in the AP Top 25. With an 11-0 record after that 3-0 week, wins over Creighton, Wisconsin, and Illinois. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but 15th in the top AP and coaches poll, 11th in net, now 21st in KenPom. Mason, this is the highest ranking for the Huskers since the 90-91 season. This is a long time coming. We're seeing some fantastic, historic stuff from Nebraska men's basketball.
Yeah, and it's not what anyone from the outside looking in really expected to begin the year, right? They were picked 14th, in the Big Ten preseason poll, and they've exceeded all of those early expectations to this point. And it was a really emotional week, and they found a way to win in every single matchup. Creighton against your rival, that you never really can predict how that's going to go. Big Ten opener against Wisconsin, that's always a challenge. Big Ten basketball, anybody can win. And then you go on the road to a 13th ranked Illinois team at the time and, get an upset win when you're ranked 23rd. So, 10 rankings above you, find a way to win there on a buzzer beater from Jamarcus Lawrence. So riding the emotional waves, and Fred Hoiberg said this is a very mature, older team, and you're seeing that show early in the year so far.
Yeah, to go out to Illinois, as you said, 13th ranked in the country, come out with that dramatic win on the pass from Sam Hoiberg over to Jamarcus Lawrence. They led by as much as 14 in that game. I mean, Price Sanford was going off in that first half. 26 points at half, finished with 32. Rink Mast also 17.7 boards to go with it.
And I think Price had the first 15 points of the game for the Huskers. I mean, he couldn't miss out there.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, we just saw 3 exciting high-level games.
Right.
And now Nebraska is going to play North Dakota and New Hampshire before we get at the beginning of next year, Michigan State, Nebraska on a Friday night, January 2nd. Right now, number 9 versus 15. This is some exciting stuff. But in the meantime, you've got a couple weeks here to work on some things and focus on improvement, and the holidays.
Yeah.
Before you get to Michigan State.
Yeah, definitely a trap game scenario. You don't want to get too complacent as you kind of get into a stretch where you're preparing for Michigan State. It's the build up to playing a really big-time Big Ten opponent. Not that Illinois wasn't. I mean, that was a great test, and they passed it. But Fred Hoiberg has said, we have to move on. Every time they've had a big win, we have to move on. They don't really linger on their big wins. They kind of just focus on what's next, and it's allowed them to get off to this undefeated start, and they're getting contributions from everybody. I mean, you see Price and Rink and Sam, the big names, but then you have guys like Braden Frager, who redshirted last year and has really come on the scene this year, that, grown in that redshirt year and taking this program to places that it hasn't been before. I mean, the historic marks we're seeing right now.
So Nebraska men's basketball just chugging along, one of the best in the country right now. Creighton men's basketball, who began the year ranked, has been struggling, but they get a massive win over Xavier. Creighton with the 98-57 win over the Musketeers to open up Big East play. Austin Swartz, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 of 13 from three-point range. We almost had to add a second line there in the full screen for his stat line, Mason. This guy was just lights out in this game. I do need to point out, 105 years of Xavier men's basketball. Never have they lost at home by that wide of a margin.
Hello,
41
Creighton.
points.
Right.
How about that? We're going to see the video here from the Kansas State loss where this is really where it all started to come together. That first half was one of the uglier halves that we've seen out of the Blue Jays in quite some time. And they turned it around in the second half. Post-game, Greg McDermott says, the good news out of this loss from the Kansas State game is, I think I found my 6 to 7 guys that I can ride with here. And sure enough, starts them. You see heavy minutes out of him. Austin Swartz really came alive in that Kansas State game, and then all of a sudden exploding for a career high, the Miami transfer out in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I really think it started in the blowout loss to Nebraska, right? I mean, you saw guys coming in, maybe getting more minutes than they had to that point in the year. You sit Blake Harper, you sit Nick Graves, you sit maybe your bona fide rotational starters to that point in the year, and then Swartz comes out in that loss, shoots very confidently. He does the same when he gets put in the starting lineup against Kansas State. Guys like Isaac Trout come out against Kansas State, and he's shooting confidently. So guys who were on the scout team, Ty Davis, bring the ball up. Guys who were on the scout team at the beginning of the season have kind of I mean, Greg McDermott said they haven't sulked, they haven't pouted, they've just kind of played their role and worked their way back into the starting rotation, and you're seeing those dividends get paid out now. Swartz having a big game. Trout had 18 against Kansas State. So guys showing up in roles that they maybe haven't played to their careers thus far.
Now, Xavier has a first-year head coach for them in Richard Pitino, but they're no slouches. Even with the loss, they're 8-4 on the season. They beat Cincinnati. They beat West Virginia. They lost only by 1 to Georgia, who's 25th in the top 25. One of their other losses is Iowa, who's ranked in the coaches poll. This is a team that was off to a quality start.
And favored over Creighton as well.
They were. And this is something that kind of annoys me when people talk about a college basketball team in December. They say, oh, they're done. They're not making the tournament. It's not happening. There's a lot of basketball left, and guys are always getting better between November and March. Now, Creighton dug themselves a hole, off to this 6-5 start. They're going to have to make up for it resume-wise in conference play. They don't have the pad that they usually do. But, I mean, this is a team that has quality transfers, has quality coaching staff. They are in transition, but I always cringe when I hear somebody say like, oh, they're done or this guy can't do this. You're talking about 18 to 22-year-old guys who are constantly working on getting better. We've seen guys improve defensively. We've seen guys improve their three-point shot. Who knows what the next couple months holds for them? Maybe they don't make the tournament, but at this point in the season, you see a game like that, you see life, you see it's not like they pack up and go home December 15th. Like there's another 3 months of basketball to be played, and Creighton has the talent to put this thing together, even with the rough start here.
Yeah, and it's not like any of their losses are to bad teams either. Like Iowa State, Gonzaga, Nebraska, even this year, obviously we talk about them. Like those aren't resume-altering losses. I mean, those are good teams and ranked teams that they went out and lost to. Now, you would hope it'd be a little more competitive, but now, you enter Big East play, you string together some wins. I think more importantly than projecting all the way to the tournament right now, Greg just wants these guys to play together. Right. You know what I mean? Like they that's been the main struggle, and he's been very vocal about the struggles in their own gym, like getting guys to play together, finding out that the depth might not be as deep this year as they once expected, just because guys aren't fitting into the system.
Well, and injuries. I mean, you have Jackson McAndrew out for the year. Hudson Greer, you don't know how long he's going to be out.
Josh Townley-Thomas was kind of surging to start, and he's out now. So, these are they're trying to figure a lot out, and guys that transferred in who maybe expected to have starting 30-plus minute-a-game roles, you're not seeing that right now. Blake Harper, Nick Graves, they're being subbed out, but maybe that's the kick in the pants they need to kind of fit into the system, figure things out, and then they come out and play against Xavier the way they did. Those are good signs for the rest of the season.
And the biggest sign that what I was most impressed with, there was a lot to be impressed with. 16 three-pointers, you're going to be impressed with.
You're
that.
right. You win most games with a shoot like that.
In a 41-point blowout. But what really impressed me was seeing the ball movement from
It's the best we've seen all year.
Absolutely the best we've seen all year. 31 assists, 38 made shots. You got to be happy with that. And there was an interview I saw a post-game from Mac out in the hallway where I think he said, he's also trying to figure out, how hard to go on these guys and also, where to ease up a little bit. And he said he felt he maybe needed to ease up just a little bit, going into this game. And, that's the formula that they're also trying to figure out because, for the last however many years, Mac has had veteran guys that, he hasn't quite had to start as fundamentally as he has this year. And, obviously that can be frustrating for anybody.
Yeah. And you also bring Alan Huss back into the mix, and he's been, tinkering with the offense as he prepares to inevitably, one day take over. So, Mac's figuring him out a little bit too, and the systems, and you're getting a brand new team. A lot of transfers came in to replace Steven Ashworth, Ryan Kalkbrenner, all the guys, Jemiah Neal, all the guys you lost, figuring it out. And, they come out and show what they can do against Xavier.
A lot of moving pieces. We'd talked plenty about it this year, but, at least this was an early sign that maybe this is all starting to come together here for Creighton. We'll find out on Saturday what should have been or what we were anticipating was going to be kind of a marquee game against Marquette like it normally is. They're 5-7 to start the year. So
both teams struggling to start.
Quickly becomes a take care of business game as opposed to a, hey, this is a resume opportunity game like we're used to seeing with them. Then you play Utah Tech to end non-conference before the Christmas break.
And those Utah teams are always scary, whether it's BYU, Utah Tech. They play good basketball out in Utah, so you can never really sleep on those teams either.
Yeah, definitely don't want to sleep on that for sure. Moving on to Omaha men's basketball. Another NAIA team, and this time a lopsided win, 105-58 over York. Jayshawn Glover, a triple-double, the first in Mavs history, 11 points, 13 boards, 10 assists. Mason, I don't care if you're playing UConn, whoever in the world. It's not easy to get a triple-double.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. I mean, the first in any program hit, like any history mark for a program is pretty cool to see. So the fact that it happens now in a game that, I mean, really, you're dedicating a little bit to Chris Crutchfield. I know you'll talk about his absence here in a sec, but you're playing for your coach a little bit, who's not there, and to make history in that way is pretty cool. You see the impact of Tony Osborne returning to this team. The two NAIA teams that Omaha played earlier in the season, Doane and Concordia. Granted, probably better than York in their league, but those were closer margins of victory. So nice to see the Mavs come out and get the blowout that they would anticipate maybe getting earlier in the season. And then Lance Waddles just continues to show up. I mean, he's shooting the lights out this year so far, and really together, this team, it looks like they're playing right now.
Yeah, head coach Chris Crutchfield, by the way, out with a previously scheduled medical procedure for that game, just recovering. Associate head coach Kyan Brown stepping in, keeping this thing going.
And running well. Yeah, running well.
Absolutely. And also wanted to point out in this one, there was a local who had his own cheering section in this game. There they are right there. Jaden Johnson, Millard North alum, stepping in, was the leading scorer for York in this game as well. I believe he
always
had
nice
20
to see
points.
him come back.
Yeah, exactly. So that was cool to see. But now Omaha moving on. They'll play Lamar on Saturday at 6 p.m. But the biggest win from this game was the bring your own container promotion coming back for Omaha men's basketball. There it is. If you remember from last year's trash can run to the NCAA tournament, they had this promotion last year, $5. You can fill up any container of 5 gallons or less with popcorn. Mason, last year it was pretty much all trash cans. This year they got creative, some painter's buckets. I love this guy. I said, "Can I get a shot of you?" He said, "Sure." He just pulls out a fistful of popcorn.
Nice.
So, yeah, everybody has fun with it. It's awesome to see, but is this a precursor for what's to come? Will the trash can celebration come back? That's what we're waiting to see. Is it like, hey, we want to put it in the rear view, or like, maybe is this something that sparks them eventually?
Yeah, I hope it does, because watching from afar last year, it seemed to be, rallying cry, not just for the team, but like the fan base. Everyone was really engaged with it. I know you even got in there a little bit too toward the end of the year into March Madness.
I got a whole training session, and
exactly.
then they were done with it.
I know.
Like, I acquired this skill.
Got to show them out.
Yeah.
Got to bring it back.
Right.
So I hope that I get to see it, and you can give me a few tips on how to do it right as well.
Maybe we will. Nebraska women's basketball had that big win over Illinois State over the weekend, 85-44. They're up to 11-0 as well. 23rd in the AP, 25 in the coaches poll, 12th in the net. They'll play Cal Baptist to round out their non-conference schedule this upcoming weekend. But Mason, just wash, rinse, repeat. Nebraska women's basketball just dominating.
Undefeated start for the women and the men. Been really impressive for both teams, but really cool to see the women succeeding, especially we've talked about it so much after losing what they lost. And Alexis Markowski, you wonder how, they're going to respond from that. But Britt Prince continues to impress. She's just pacing this offense and, bringing the ball up the court in her second year. It really helps when you surround her with good shooters. Obviously, Logan Isley coming back from injury. She has been putting up numbers, and Callan Haig, very consistent. Amy Williams has praised her consistency so much, not just this year, but throughout her career. And then when you can stretch the floor with your front court, obviously you have Petra Bojan, who's, showed her ability to shoot the three, especially in recent weeks, has come on more in that way. And then Amaya Hargrove, she recently set a career high with 26, and just everybody seems to be clicking at the right time and making an impact in one way or another. You see there Kennedy Williams, Amy Williams' daughter, she's back from a knee injury, didn't play last year. So really cool to see everybody making an impact in different ways.
And I know Illinois State isn't, Big Ten play level competition, but I always like to see a non-conference one. Hey, is something not working for you? How are you getting it done? They were 6 of 20 from three-point range, 30%. But they dominated in the paint. They outscored Illinois State 58-28 in the paint. Also, 35 points off turnovers in that game, and the Nebraska bench also scoring 41, almost outscoring their opponent just on the bench alone.
Right.
Those are a lot of indicators of like, hey, you've got a program capable of doing something special when the lights are really on come Big Ten play.
Yeah, and Big Ten, at least they've seen a Big Ten opponent this year. They went on the road to Penn State and scored over 100. We talked about that, in our 402 tip-off podcast when that happened. Pretty impressive to go on the road to a Big Ten opponent and score over 100. So I think those are indicators of how conference play could go for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nebraska, as I mentioned, they end non-conference play at 11 a.m. this weekend. They play Cal Baptist. Omaha and Creighton women's basketball playing the final all-in-state game of the year. Creighton taking it 92-48 on the strength of the Gessert twins, the Millard West alums going off. The freshman duo, 25 points for Neely, 15 for Nora. Each of them drilling 5 threes in this game. Mason, we talked about how Jim Flannery had this highly coveted recruiting class.
Right.
We've seen Ava Zedeker popping off. We've seen Neely Gessert have some big games. But, it's really starting to bear fruit now what this freshman group can do.
Yeah, I mean, Zedeker had 26, recently, and then you come out and Neely Gessert scores 25 in this game. Nora Gessert finally, coming on. She got a lot more minutes against this Omaha team and makes an impact with 15 on 5 threes. Really cool to see, the Millard West twins and sisters pass to each other, assist each other. A lot of communication when those two are on the floor. Obviously, you have the family relationship, but it kind of seems like it spreads to the rest of the team as well when those two get minutes together, and we just haven't seen a whole lot of it this year. So really cool to see young players hitting their stride at the same time. Zedeker only had 7 or somewhere around that range, maybe a little more in this game against Omaha. But if other players are down or other freshmen are down, you have others who will step up, and shine. And, really cool, Elizabeth Gentry, you see her scoring there. She had 13 of the first 15 Creighton points in this game. So just a cool moment to see, each girl finding their role and stepping up at different times.
And I do want to say, Neely Gessert has been the scorer of the two of them. She's garnered a lot of attention even during their recruiting.
Right.
In high school, there were times where Neely was getting invited to some higher level events and that kind of thing. Nora has always been the one that does the things that doesn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. I mean, she had 3 steals in the game. It's cool to see when she's getting going offensively, but she's just really a motor and that glue type for a team. And so to see her coming on in that role, that's really dangerous for Creighton as well.
Winning basketball. I mean, those are the plays. It's similar like Sam Hoiberg at Nebraska. So many people have talked about him, but that's how you play winning basketball. And you see it now. Creighton's gone on a little bit of a roll after a sluggish start to begin the season. And now, they're pulling at 500. So pretty cool for them to, see their younger players coming along in that way.
Absolutely. As for Creighton, they have DePaul coming up this weekend. Then they get Seton Hall as well on Monday. As for Omaha, they go out to L.A. for the Loyola Marymount invite, where they'll first play Southern Utah on Saturday.
We should mention, too, just for Omaha's purposes, obviously you see the record 1-11, rougher start, first year for Jamie Carey, but they also lost Cora Olson for the rest of the season with a foot injury. She was their leading scorer, local product, veteran leader, returned to, help Jamie Carey kind of get this thing going. So you lose her, that's a tough blow, but she's going to be a vocal leader from the bench. She was against Creighton, even when they got down pretty big. Olsen's voice was pretty much the loudest on the bench, maybe secondary to Jamie Carey. She's, pretty vocal as well. But cool to see her continue to be heard. She was in the boot on the scooter. Big loss for Omaha, but they'll try to, go on without her.
Tough for her in terms of second straight season, having a season-ending injury as well. But we know the Millard South alum is going to come back better than ever.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you, Mason. That is 402 Tip-Off. Thank you so much for watching. We'll probably see you in the new year as we'll be getting ready for the holidays and a bowl game. But after that, we'll be all in on basketball. Thank you so much for watching 402 Tip-Off.
Happy holidays.